I've always been the kind of person who enjoys running at night. There's something peaceful about it, the silence, the cool air, the way the streetlights stretch your shadow ahead of you, making you feel like you're chasing yourself. Most people I know think it's weird or unsafe, but I've always lived in a quiet, safe neighborhood. Nothing bad ever happens here. At least, that's what I thought. Running became my routine during my last year of college. Classes, work, stress, it all got to me. Running late at night, when everything was silent, was my escape. I'd leave my house around 10, sometimes closer to 11, plug in my headphones, and just go. It wasn't about speed or distance. It was about clearing my mind. The route was always the same. Out of my neighborhood, down the main street, then onto the trail behind the park. That trail was my favorite part. It cuts through a stretch of woods and comes out near the old highway, about a mile away. During the day, it's used by cyclists and dog walkers. At night, though, it's completely empty. No lights, just the faint glow from the houses in the distance and the crunch of gravel under your shoes. One night, early in spring, I noticed someone standing near the entrance to that trail. It was late, probably close to midnight. At first, I thought it was just a person taking a smoke break or maybe walking their dog, but there was something still about them. They weren't moving, just standing there, facing the trees. I slowed down as I passed, trying not to stare. I could only see a silhouette under the dim light, tall, thin, wearing what looked like a hoodie. No phone, no flashlight, no dog, just stillness. When I looked back a few seconds later, they were gone. I figured they'd walked into the trail, maybe heading home through the shortcut. I didn't think much of it. Over the next few nights, I kept to the same route. Nothing strange happened. But that image, the person standing so still, stuck with me. It's strange how your brain holds onto things it doesn't understand. I told myself it was probably nothing, but part of me started running faster near that spot, just in case. About a week later, I saw him again, same spot, same posture. This time I tried to act casual, but I could feel him watching me as I passed. You know that prickling feeling at the back of your neck, when you know someone's eyes are on you? It was exactly like that. When I looked back after a few seconds, he hadn't moved, not even an inch. That time, I decided to take a longer route home, avoiding the trail completely. I didn't sleep well that night. I kept replaying it in my head. Why would someone stand there, doing nothing, so late at night? It didn't make sense. I told myself again it was probably nothing, but from then on, I started running on the main roads only. No more trails. For a few weeks, everything was normal again. Then one night, I took a turn earlier than usual and ended up back near the park entrance without realizing it. When I saw where I was, my stomach dropped. The streetlights barely reached that far, but I could make out the outline of the trail sign. And there he was again, same figure, standing at the edge of the path. Only this time, he wasn't facing the woods, he was facing me. I froze for a moment. My brain told me to keep running, but I just couldn't move. My heart raced, each beat louder than the last. I tried to convince myself it was just coincidence, just some stranger out for a late walk. But the feeling of being watched was undeniable. I ran past him, head down, trying not to look. When I glanced back a few seconds later, he had moved slightly, just enough to remain in view. That subtle motion made every hair on my arm stand up. I reached the main road and didn't stop running until I was back home, doors locked behind me. I couldn't sleep that night. Every sound outside, the rustling of leaves, distant cars, made my stomach tighten. I told myself it was paranoia, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. A week later, my friend Mark asked to join me on a run. I didn't tell him about the figure. I didn't want him thinking I was crazy. The first half of the run was normal. We talked, laughed, the usual. But as we approached the trail, Mark slowed down. "Do you see that?" he asked, voice low. I followed his gaze. There, at the edge of the trees, was the figure again. Same stance, same stillness. But this time, I could just barely make out a smile on his face, faint in the dim light. Neither of us spoke. We turned and ran a different way, avoiding the trail entirely. Even in the safe glow of the streetlights, my skin crawled. The rest of the run was silent. A few days later, Mark called me late at night. He sounded shaken. He said someone had been standing across the street from his house, watching, not moving, just standing. By the time his dad checked, the figure was gone. That was 2 months ago. Since then, I haven't gone running at night. Mark hasn't either. The feeling of being watched lingers, though. Sometimes, when I take out the trash or walk to my car, I swear I see movement at the edge of the woods. It could be anything, a branch, a shadow, but my mind fills in the rest. I've learned to keep my distance, stay in well-lit areas, and never go alone. Even now, weeks later, I occasionally glance over my shoulder while walking home in the dark. The feeling never fully leaves. It's subtle, a flicker in my peripheral vision, a sound just too regular to be random. I wonder if it will ever stop, or if I'll always be aware of the spaces around me when night falls. I don't know who that man is, or why he chose that trail. Maybe he's harmless, maybe not. What I do know is that running at night will never feel the same again. The freedom I felt before is gone, replaced with caution, a constant awareness, and the knowledge that some people, some figures, are better left unseen. Now, every time I hear a footstep behind me when I'm out, my heart jumps. Every glance at a shadow makes me tense. The streets I once thought were safe now feel full of possibilities I don't want to consider. I tell myself it's all in my head, that I'm imagining things because of fear, but deep down, I know I'm not. And sometimes, when the wind moves through the trees just right, I swear I can see him again, just standing there, watching, smiling faintly, waiting.